and welcome to another edition of Cranky Gun Reviews. I'm out here at the range today on this beautiful snowy day, the 11th of January 2025, with my Charter Arms Pathfinder 22 long rifle revolver. Now, I've done a couple of videos on this already. This is one that I purchased, I think, Christmas of 2023, somewhere in that time frame. And I've had a little bit of rough time with this one. So when I first got this, the cylinder, somebody had dry fired it a lot, and it had dimples in each one of the chambers in the cylinder from the firing pin hitting the cylinder from somebody dry firing it. You really shouldn't dry fire most 22 handguns just because this is a possibility. So I found on eBay the correct cylinder from another same generation gun, and I bought that as a parts kit and swapped out the cylinder with the one that I had purchased. The timing and everything on it was fine, but every once in a while, depending on which 22 round I put in here, it tends to drag a little bit. And I honestly think it might be just something to do with the spacing of the cylinder. I'm not sure. So I put the original cylinder back on this, but what I did in the meantime, I took a tiny little round file and I filed off the high spots from where the firing pin was hitting the cylinder to get rid of that ridge that was on there. And then I took a wire brush, a bore brush, put it in my drill and ran it in and out of the cylinders to clean them up and open them up just a tiny bit and polish them. So I'm just basically coming back out here today to see if this thing runs any better now that I've done that work. The only ammo that I brought was CCI Blazer and Aguila. And I have a lot of Aguila and I have a lot of CCI Blazer. That's why I took them out here. So I'm going to see if I have any more problems with it. And what you'll see if I have an issue is when I'm pulling the trigger in double action mode, the cylinder will hang up and I'll have to pull it really hard to get it to fire. It's been a little bit better so far, but I really want to see if I fix the problem. These Aguila rounds slide right into the chambers nice. And one of the other things that I found that helps, if you find a 22 long rifle that the head of the casing is perfectly flat, they tend to work better. Some of them, when they stamp the casing, they almost have a little bit of a dome around the part where the priming compound is. And if that's the case, they almost always drag. Aguilas are nice and flat, and the CCI Blazer are pretty flat as well. Or sorry, the Blazer lead brown nose. So let's see how the Aguila works in this, and let's see if I have any hangups. There it is. So right off the bat, it seems to be a little bit better. That was 2 cylinders. I did have one light strike. I don't know if that's the revolver, if that's the ammo. 22, again, does have sometimes problems with the priming compound not being great. Did go off the second time. And even revolving the cylinder with spent casings in it, it wasn't hanging up. So already I'm in better shape than I was last time.
Switch over to the Blazer now and see how she does.
So switching to Blazer. Let's see how it does with the Blazer if I have any hang-ups. Off the bat, it already seems to be a lot better than it was. It's rotating correctly. Most of the rounds are going off. And you know, I could have sent this back to Charter Arms and had them fix it. They have lifetime warranties on their revolvers, but honestly, if it's a simple problem, it's such a hassle for me to get a return ticket and have to bring it to like a FedEx or a UPS location and ship it out. You have to declare it's a handgun. I really, really don't like shipping firearms back and forth. I'm just always worried they're going to get stolen or lost and I won't get them back, or, you know, God forbid they'd ever get used in a crime. So I try to fix as much of this stuff as I can by myself. This particular case, just polishing up the cylinders or the chambers in the cylinder seems to have done the trick. So one of those did hang up a little bit, and I'm starting to see a pattern here of light strikes. I might have to change the hammer pin or the hammer spring in this gun. I do have some from 38 Specials and one from a Bulldog that I could put in here if I needed a stiffer spring. I know it's a fine balance on a 22 revolver between consistency, accuracy, and a light trigger pull, because you do have a double action, and 22 needs a pretty hard strike on that to get it to fire. So let's try it in single action and see if I have better luck. So is it completely fixed? Well, I would say it's 95% fixed. I still had a couple of light strikes, and I did have a couple of rounds with the Blazer. When I was pulling the trigger in double action, it seemed to hang up, but that was after I spent like 4 of the casings. Sometimes the heads get a divot and it warps them. So realistically, the spacing in this cylinder is so tight. I think that's what the problem is. I mean, there's almost no wiggle front to back on this cylinder. So I don't know, maybe I should send this gun back to Charter Arms, but I think because for me it's just a range toy, I would never carry this for safety, even though, you know, if I had a 1600 feet per second hollow point in it, maybe I would, if I could get it to be reliable. But for now, it's just a range toy. I'll continue to clean it, and I'll look at everything and see if there's any wear marks, maybe an area that needs to be shaved down a thousandth or two. But for now, it's a lot better than it was, so I'm pretty happy with it. You know, that's going to do it for this edition of Cranky Gun Reviews today on this nice snowy day. Again, speaking about my Charter Arms Pathfinder 22 long rifle with the snub nose barrel. This is a year of manufacture 2019, so it's a fairly modern production, and I know a lot of people have had quality issues with the newer guns. This one might fall into that range where it does potentially have an issue that needs to get fixed, but I'm willing to tinker with it a little bit more, do some cleaning, make sure there's no gunk stuck in the rotation of the cylinder on the crane, and keep trying with it. Again, I don't really like shipping these back to the factory if I don't have to, so I'm going to keep trying it, keep shooting it. This year, I'm going to try to do a lot more 22 shooting because I have so many 22 firearms and I have so much 22 ammo. I could probably spend almost the entire year shooting 22 and never have to buy more ammo. So thanks for watching another edition of Cranky Gun Reviews. In this edition of the Charter Arms Pathfinder 22 Snub Nose. God bless America. Support your 2A rights. Get out there and shoot. And you remember, if someone asks you to give up some of your freedom for the greater good, remind them that freedom is always the greater good.